Hi there, my name is Colleen Strain. I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to take on this role as a new school business administrator. I'd like to share my responses to some questions you asked me to research to share my knowledge and expertise on during this first month. The first question was building a new school, how long it should take from planning to completion, and based on my research and inquiry, that would be about 4 years. Referendum work to get all of the referendum organized and passed would take about a year itself. Then we would have the planning phase for the school, which would take another year. That is designing and taking time for a lot of collaborative meetings and discussions on how we would want the school to look and function to best focus on student learning. Bidding, construction, and completion of the project, including equipment, supplies, and many other preparations, would take about 2 years. So in total, that's about 4 years to build a new school. On that note, expecting a school building to last 50 years sounds very reasonable to me. The school that I am in or am from was built in 1899. That's 1899. So 50 years to me sounds wonderful. The school should last into the future for future generations who will be paying for it. So 50 years is reasonable for that building to last. Bond referendums. Bond referendums are difficult to pass for some reasons. Those include there are many steps involved. There's authorizing, approving, and issuing the bond. The steps need to be completed with legalities, so there needs to be a financial consultant specialist in on it, and including maybe a bond counsel. So there takes some money and planning for that referendum to be able to even pass. The need of having a bond must be justified and documented and presented to voters. Therefore, it is difficult to do this, and there is a low rate of approval. Another note on bonds in our current economy, whether it's good or bad right now for bonds, I defaulted this question to our financial officer. So I questioned him to get his knowledge on this, as I thought I needed some more information. And our chief financial officer in Racine Unified's name is Mark Duff, and he shared that ultimately the issue is the cost of borrowing. So he doesn't characterize current borrowing rates as bad, but they have worsened over the past couple of years. Economic situations have created some uncertainty, including our Federal Reserve increasing rates. There's some trade disputes going on right now with other countries, especially China, and there has been impact of other federal policies. Municipal bonds have been a better option than corporate bonds, so that has helped with the rates, he says. School districts don't really have a choice. When we borrow money, we borrow when we have the need and opportunity. If the borrowing costs of a school construction increases, it impacts the property taxes and possibly the ability to pass a referendum. So whether we go out for bond financing, we must be rated by Moody's, and each school district's bond rating impacts the bond interest rate or the borrowing costs. Some factors in Moody's assessment include the financial health of the district, the fund balance, and enrollment trends. Right now in our district, we have a declining enrollment trend, which might affect our ability to do that. Also, local economic activity all impact that. So that was quite a deep question that I felt I needed assistance with. Okay, maintaining facilities in tough economic times. I found that it's critical to maintain facilities. We have billions of dollars being spent on construction and equipping our schools in our country. Even more money has been spent on rehabilitating older facilities. I know this has happened a lot with our school. Since being built in 1899, we've had a lot of money and things put into our building, which is quite old, and that's very costly. It says, or I've researched, public facilities for years have grappled to fund maintenance adequately. Proper planning and scheduling and record keeping are important. Budget priorities and energy use and energy conservation are very important. And the physical appearance of the school can really affect public relations. In terms of maintenance, a preventative maintenance plan should have a planning function that provides accurate control and recorded schedules. There should be complete and accurate inventory of the components of the building and equipment, so that the plan could then reduce the frequency and number of emergency repairs. A cost collection and analysis tools to assist in budget preparation would be important, so we could increase the effectiveness of facility maintenance, and if we could implement a flexible and easy operating system. A preventative maintenance schedule should be planned, and this would take care of the routine decisions and allow staff to focus on more creative activities that would increase the effectiveness and productivity of maintenance. So there's a lot of planning that goes into that, and having that schedule should be very important. In the light of energy, our school district can conserve energy by having a recycling program for consumables, using alternate energy resources, participating in an energy audit to really analyze and look at our facility and survey how it's using energy wastefully, or how we could even conserve more energy. Then we could design some type of an improvement plan, and possibly the use of a microcomputer based energy unit, so the air control and energy can be controlled from another location by a computer. Energy conservation should be ongoing. Everyone should be aware of it, and everyone should practice it in the building, all being on the same page, that is. On another note of security, our school district should really consider a facility security audit to determine what areas are to be secured and how. Some of the things we should be looking for are the outside design, how we handle special events, our technology, what we feel or notice about zero tolerance, and even more than ever, safety and security are under review. So this is a very hot topic right now, and I know our school district's really looking at using the ALICE training program in terms of safety and security. But sometimes I think we forget to not just focus on an possible intruder, but what are some daily security issues that we have, and taking a look at our building from the outside all the way into the inside, doing walkthroughs and audits. I think taking time to do that could really shine a light on some things that we might need to pay more attention to. All right, a different question was the largest personnel challenge we face. In my opinion, the largest personnel challenge we face is developing our employees and motivating them. There's a lot of money spent on obtaining personnel. If we don't have an effective development program, much of the money we may have spent could be wasted. We need an effective implementation of evaluation procedures and proper supervision of staff. Staff in-service training is important so we can upgrade skills with our staff, and involving them within this process, doing a lot of reflection and self-evaluation, I feel is a really good idea. I think it makes it more meaningful for them in terms of developing themselves. And really the purpose of evaluation is to improve our teaching and learning, so I think if we focus on that, it would be for the better. Employee motivation concerns all administration. It's really linked to good personnel practices. Having staff have goals and really know what their job description is will help with their performance efficiency. Also, having a salary schedule with predetermined and established levels and steps may motivate staff. That's a hot button issue in our district right now, currently, as they're looking at the salary schedule and actually kind of they're not having it as clear as it was in the past, or at least trying to. And I think that might be an issue in staff morale with motivation. So I'm a little worried about that. We also have to think about an upcoming anticipated teacher shortage that has been talked about quite a bit within this last year. And that might be something to really think about when it comes to personnel challenges, because if we have a lack of personnel, how are we going to motivate and actually train people to be their best? Or are we going to settle for just hiring anyone? this question seems to be quite critical at this time. The other question was kind of similar in terms of staff evaluation. I think it's very important because staff evaluation's goal is really reflection and growth. We really want to build upon the strengths of the people that we have in our school community and find areas of weakness to be improved upon. It should be cooperative. It's not supposed to be like a gotcha moment or focusing on what you don't do well. More about, okay, here's where you are and let's build you. Kind of like we do treat our children. Self-evaluation has been proven to be more productive and more meaningful, and one really needs to understand their job description in order to be fair, and again, that increases motivation as well. All right, this is a different shift of a question, and that is about risk management. Risk management is very important because it allows for the protection of our school, all of the money that has been put into the school, the funding, the people in the school, and the property itself. Protection is a part of planning. Protection is a part of planning. Having a risk management program can prevent loss of life, injury to personnel, including our students, staff, and parents, and loss or damage to the property. So all of what we're doing is about teaching and learning, but if we're not protecting the monies and the people and the place where we're learning in, that's really important. So risk management is critical. We have a school transportation system that has many goals and many facets to it. The goals of our school transportation system should be to really support and serve our students or our learners and the whole school system. The health, the safety needs, convenience, and cost all need to be considered when looking at transportation. It's a huge undertaking with many components, but the goal overall is simple, yet there's a lot to it. Another service that we look at in schools is food service, and the greatest challenge for today's school service, in my opinion, is planning. There's many decisions to be made. Food service has become a big operation. The purchasing aspect has become a specialized task. So having someone that really knows how to do that is important. And from what I read, there's not a lot of people in that role that have that highly specialized training in order to understand all that purchasing part of it, especially with large school districts. So for example, our school district has about 18,500 students. So the big challenge would be to plan and to make all the decisions that revolve around that, since it's such a big operation. Menu planning, projections of numbers, prediction of items are all needed in the process. The goal is to provide attractive, tasty, well-balanced meals, but at the most economical rate possible. So that's a challenge in itself too. That other challenges that might be in part of that to reach that goal would be policies, having rules, regulations, staffing, procedures, accounting, and reporting, which all go into the process of food service operations. We have technology in schools. Technology has really grown since I was in school, even since I started teaching 22 years ago. There are pros and cons to technology. Some of the pros include allowing us to manage information at a very fast rate with a lot more accuracy. We don't need to have as much human error as we had before. We can use computers to analyze data of individuals, data of groups in the whole school or the whole district. Technology allows our schools to open themselves up to the world. We can communicate and collaborate much more quickly using email, text messaging, blogging. Our school can enhance kids' ability to inquire and research and connect with anyone in the world. It's easy to find answers to things versus taking the time to possibly go to the library and pull books. It can be at their fingertips. That can be a pro, but also could be a con. Teachers are much more able to collaborate and share resources to enhance teaching and learning thanks to technology. All of those things sound wonderful, and people want more computers, and teachers now have laptops and can do so many things, but there are cons to it, including the cost of the numbers of computers needed. I know our school is not a one-to-one ratio, and many teachers want more laptops for kids. There's maintenance cost and appropriate use of software, and knowing the process to what to purchase and what to actually use, because sometimes you can want something and then it never gets used, and many of these programs are very costly. Like we're looking at programs in our district like First in Math, Newsella, I think a new one is called Freckle. Any of these cool programs that seem quite alluring and awesome cost money. They kind of get you hooked at a low price, but then you need the full subscription cost, and it just gets to be quite overwhelming with that. Another or some more cons, aside from the ones mentioned, that students may be able to access inappropriate material. Pornography was brought up quite a bit in our book. There's social media, which is huge now. I don't think was an issue in the text that we have because of the year it was published, but keeping kids focused on what they're supposed to be doing and researching and learning about in school, often social media can distract them. There's lots of apps they can go on and sometimes distract from what they're supposed to be doing. We've had a lot of conversations in our building about the amount of time on computers versus giving kids opportunities to actually communicate and talk and do learning engagements with each other that might include writing and different types of thinking versus just staring at a screen. In addition, some other cons might be budgeting, planning computer systems, and what the setting goals and what the original reasons for purchasing them were, training, security issues like passwords, viruses, different equipment needs you might have to have in order to get the computers to work the best way they can. The addition of computers in education has been wonderful, but also have presented many challenges in our schools too. Thank you very much for listening to my answers to the questions. I hope I shared some of my knowledge and expertise in these areas. Yet as a learner and a school business administrator, I know I will continue to have more questions given to me to think about and to find answers to. Thank you for your time, and thanks for listening to my thoughts.